Pretty much since development began for the day before, there's always been some skepticism, and fans have generally been very, very unsure and just uncertain in terms of whether the game was actually real or not. And it turned out that the game was real, so to say, but that didn't stop it from being a complete and utter scam. And in this video, we're going to be going over the confirmation that we just got, really, that the day before was a scam, and sort of the scummy side to Fntastic, the developers for this game. But we're gonna rewind things a bit. So we did recently, literally just after I started recording this video, we did get an official statement from Fntastic about the day before and all their other games and just the company as a whole. But we'll rewind it a bit. We'll just quickly go through everything that's taken us to this point so you can really understand how bad this is. So on January 29th in 2021, we did get a 5-minute trailer of the day before. Showed us 2 players driving into a city. We saw various cars and shops, and then we also saw a firefight and a horde of zombies. So pretty standard stuff, and it was a pretty cool trailer, and obviously that's when we started to get a lot of hype for the game. So then we got the first release date, and things went quiet for a long time, but we did get a release date of June 21st, 2022. And yeah, at this point afterwards was where we sort of started to see the issues with development, and this is where people started to really get skeptical. Since before, of course, there was no real signs it was a scam or anything really. It all seems like a normal sort of hype up for a game, nothing really out of the ordinary. Now, this wasn't the only game that they were developing. They were also working on another game which was called Prop Night. And without any complications really, this game launched on November 30th. But the day before did slip under the radar, and they did delay the game. This was the first delay. And they said this: feeling and understanding the great responsibility that we face with enormous gratitude in our hearts, we're pleased to announce that the day before is switching to the new Unreal Engine 5 technology, which I suppose at the time seemed fairly standard. That was a new engine, and if they didn't really know much about it beforehand, then, you know, they're going to want the game to be up to date when it does release, so that's sort of understandable. They then followed with this: the transition to a more advanced and adapted open world engine will make the gameplay of the day before even more fantastic. In this regard, we inform you that the new release date of the game will be March 1st of 2023. Obviously, yeah, a pretty major delay there. Well, yeah, about 10 months really from its original release date, but I suppose you're going to expect a long delay if it is switching to a completely new engine. But yeah, that is obviously where people started to get disappointed, but at that point they weren't really skeptical about there being any issues. It's a pretty standard or somewhat understandable reason to delay a game. And then we started to get some more interesting news, and basically Fntastic got accused of having a volunteering culture, meaning the use of unpaid workers. Now, they tried to defend this practice, saying all of its employees, paid or not, were volunteers because it's quote-unquote always tries to bring in proactive people with open hearts. It categorized its workers into camps: full-time volunteers and part-time volunteers. The full-time are regular paid employees, while the part-time are unpaid workers who contribute to game development. And these unpaid workers can get cool rewards, participation certificates, and free codes for the game. Which, in my opinion, for working on an entire massive game, isn't that much. I mean, personally for me, you know, a free copy of the game and some cool rewards wouldn't really entice me to, you know, do a full-on part-time job, literally getting, what, like £50, $50 worth of stuff for, like, hours and hours of work. To me, that's just crazy. But yeah, so then we get into 2023, and we did get another 1-minute long gameplay trailer, which was the game running in 4K with RTX turned on, obviously sort of utilizing that Unreal Engine 5 supposedly. And then there was a big trademark issue, and basically Steam removed the game altogether from the platform. And basically, to put it simply, there was an issue regarding someone already owning and registered with the day before trademark in the United States. But the developers said that they were very confident that this issue would be resolved since they have strong legal partners, and added that this will allow extra time for them to better prepare for the release and make the overall improvements for the game, and it will become even more polished, optimized, and content filled. But yeah, the trademark dispute, third delay, and obviously conflicted messages appeared to really not work well for the developers at all. People were thinking it was a scam at this point. They said the scam is that they produce gameplay video after gameplay video and build their YouTube channel until they have millions of followers. Then they rug pull the game. And yeah, things really, really weren't going well. There was another user, True Mist, and said they believed Fntastic had bitten off more than it could chew. They realised how much work actually has to go into making a AAA level title, and they just can't do it. It's not a scam exactly, but it's deceitful and quite frankly really embarrassing. But the developers itself replied to the chatter, maintaining that the day before is definitely real and will launch in November of 2023. And, well, we didn't end up getting it in November of 2023. We got it at the beginning of December of 2023. And we did eventually get the day before. Now, I'm going to say there was a whole lot more that went on after we did get that November release time. We actually did obviously get another small delay, but there was more sort of accusations in terms of copyright. There was the use of opening shots in a Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War trailer from 2020 in a day before trailer, which is obviously very, very strange. And they basically were asked also about their marketing department. They said they don't have one and that all of their resources go into game development, and some people were a bit skeptical of that. And then there was obviously some more issues with trademark holding. And yeah, there was a lot of stuff that went on. But eventually, we got the release of the game, and it did not launch in a good state. People were not happy. There were actually cases on launch day where people were waiting over an hour to get into a lobby within the day before, but on Steam database there were over 40,000 people playing the game, so that shouldn't be a problem at all. So obviously really long queue times. I saw one person, quite a well-known YouTuber, actually tweeting saying that this was one of the first games, well, was the first game he'd ever refunded. I believe that was the route Brad. And then also we got a tweet from Hollow, and he said that the game was really, really poor. He said that he just turned the game off after having to wait 1 hour to find a lobby, 1 hour playing, walking around in an empty city, and he found one zombie and he found one player. So, yeah, that, I mean, for a survival zombie game, to find one zombie in an hour of walking around the city is pretty poor. And, yeah, that's also waiting an hour to actually get into that lobby is ridiculous. But we do now have the tweet from Fntastic that says this. Today, we announced the closure of Fntastic Studio. Unfortunately, the day before has failed financially, and we lack the funds to continue. All income received is being used to pay off debts to our partners. We invested all our efforts, resources, and man hours into the development of the day before, which was our first huge game. We really wanted to release new patches to reveal the full potential of the game, but unfortunately, we don't have the funding to continue the work. It's important to note that we didn't take any money from the public during the development of the day before. There were no pre-orders or crowdfunding campaigns. We worked tirelessly for 5 years, pouring our blood, sweat, and tears into the game. At the moment, the future of the day before and prop nights is unknown, but the servers will remain operational. We apologise if we didn't meet your expectations. We did everything within our power, but unfortunately, we miscalculated our capabilities. Creating games is an incredibly challenging endeavour. We're grateful to everyone who supported us during these difficult years. It's been a fantastic journey over the past 8 years, and they list the games that they have released. Now, yeah, obviously they aren't a very old studio. They're pretty new. They're only 8 years old, and they only lasted 8 years. And things really haven't gone well. Everyone now obviously does think it's a scam, and I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts on this down in the comments. I think that it'd be very weird that in less than a week after the game has released that you have to instantly shut down your studios. That's not giving a lot of time for revenue to come in. You know, you're only, since you couldn't pre-order the game, you're not allowing that much time in terms of people to buy the game if you're literally less than a week. So I feel like if there wasn't something strange going on behind the scenes here, then they would have continued working on the game, releasing patch updates, and at least trying to earn that money back through revenue of improving the game. For example, with Cyberpunk 2077, they refunded everyone, and that's really not going to leave them in a good financial state. But then they continued working on the game, and now it's a really, really fantastic game that people really recommend you play. And they could have done that sort of thing, but instead they've just shut down their entire studio. And I think the fact that they mention in there that there weren't any pre-orders is just sort of an excuse for them to be able to keep the money they've already got, saying, well, you know, the game had released when you bought it, so there's nothing we can do. You saw the state it was in, you can't really complain. So I feel like it's possible this was a plan all along, but then also some people said, Obviously, that they just clearly didn't have the capabilities. They weren't ready to release a massive AAA game, which you could also argue as well. But I can really see the argue now for it to be a scam. They've sort of just taken the money and ran, basically. But yeah, that does just about wrap up things here. That's the story of the day before, from beginning to literally the end. I mean, the game just released. It's meant to be an ongoing, ever-evolving, really, online multiplayer game, but that's certainly not going to be the case anymore. But yeah, that does just about wrap up things here. I'm not sure what they'll do in terms of Steam, if they're able to refund people that have bought the game, since, I mean, that is really poor. You're expecting to get a game that could last you years. It's a massive online multiplayer, but instead it's lasted less than a week. And, you know, you're buying into that game at almost a full price of a AAA game these days, expecting, you know, lots of online support, but you don't get any. So, yeah, I have no idea what they'll do in terms of refunds as recording this video, but we'll have to wait and see. And I'd love to hear all of your thoughts on this down in the comments below. But that does just about wrap up things here. That is the story of the day before. Very dodgy stuff has gone on there for sure. Anyways, yeah, on screen now, you are seeing a link to a different video. Hit the link on the screen if you are interested in watching that. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.